Good morning. Now for today, the Committee on General Government Operation and Appropriations is now called to order. Today is Thursday, July 13, and the time now is 9:01. In compliance with the open government law, the notices for this public hearing were posted on the Governor of Guam public notice portal, KGTF PBS, channel 12, and disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Monday, July 3rd, and on Friday, July 7th. The agenda this morning will be the Bill 26-37 COR, Committee on Rules, by request of I Magaʹhågan Guåhan, the Governor of Guam, in accordance with the Organic Act of Guam, an act making appropriation for the operation of the executive branch of the Governor of Guam for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024, making other appropriations and establishing miscellaneous administrative provisions relative to the Guam Visitors Bureau. At this time, I ask the members of the Guam Visitors Bureau to please rise and be placed under oath by the Sergeant Arm.
Please raise your right hand. Under penalty of perjury, you all affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes. Mr. Chair, under oath, you may proceed. Thank you.
Turn your staff so in case anybody's called up.
Please raise your right hand. Under penalty of perjury, do you all affirm that any and all information you provide today, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Mr. Chair, under oath, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The rules for this budget hearing. Please provide my legislative staff with any documents for photocopying and distribution. Panel members are asked to remain in the room for questions or for additional testimony that may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violations of this general rule of conduct will result in removal from the budget hearing room. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum will be restricted from participating and will be escorted from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on and that you speak into the microphone. Please state your name and your title for the record. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues that have joined me this morning. I have the Oversight Chair for the Guam Visitors Bureau, Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Jesse Lujan, and Senator Roy Canata. At this time, I'd ask the GVB management to give their presentation of their budget. Sir, Governor Carl.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I would like, for the record, maybe this is too much song. I would like for the record that I read my testimony. It won't take long, Mr. Chairman, but it'll be a good way to start the whole thing. And this is the testimony of myself, Carl T.C. Gutierrez, President and CEO, actually, by law, the General Manager of the Guam Visitors Bureau, on Bill number 26-37, relative to the fiscal year 2024 executive budget. And this is in front of your committee, Mr. San Agustin, Senator. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the record, my name is Carl Gutierrez. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you this morning to state our case and urge your support for the Bureau's $27 million funding request for fiscal year 2024. The current fiscal year has been both encouraging and challenging. It has been encouraging because arrivals from our source markets have been tracking or exceeding their pre-COVID international departures. But it is also challenging because we are working hard to recapture the 40% pre-COVID momentum disrupted by Typhoon Mawar and the 70% trajectory that we had forecasted for fiscal year 2024. Despite major and widespread destruction to our public and private tourism infrastructure, the good news to report today is that we are back in business. In fact, we have been in business as early as 3 weeks after the storm, in line with the restoration of our public utilities, the removal of heavy wind-blown vegetation, and clearing of debris along our public highways, beaches, and public parks. Just 4 weeks after the typhoon, June ended up with 17,310 visitors and reflected our improving recovery mix of 17% Korean, 14% Japanese, 5% Taiwan, and 5% Philippine visitors. Almost 40% of June visitors were from the U.S., most of whom were FEMA, Red Cross, and other disaster or military-related employees. Based on 8,701 arrivals in the first 7 days of the month, the run rate for July is 38,533 visitors, or more than double June arrivals. Timely actions taken to recover from MOAR are bearing fruit. And I mean to repeat that again, that the timely actions that we took are bearing fruit. Thanks to the flexibility and specific authority the General Manager was allowed to exercise in Public Law 36-107, the ability to repurpose funding quickly and to direct it toward targeted objectives was instrumental in getting us to where we are today. Our $27 million fiscal year 2024 budget allocates 50% to marketing and research activities, 27% to destination developments, and 23% to administrative and personnel expenses, the combined priority of which is to sustain the immediate strategic goals of 1, capturing peak season business in July, August, and September, restoring the trajectory of pre-COVID arrivals, and facilitating the restoration of tourism-related businesses that provide an authentic island destination experience. And if you might note, this third point is especially important because many businesses cannot wait weeks or months from other financial resources to survive. Our strategy in pursuing these strategic goals entail a messaging campaign using GVB-owned channels to communicate with the trade, consumers, and mass media, and providing the latest updates on recovery with the ending tagline that we are open for business. The airline support using co-op and social media investments to generate demand and recovery seat supply. I might add that we work very closely with not only our hometown carrier of United Airlines, but those that have been servicing us, Japan Airlines from Japan and Jeju on a daily charter, but more specifically the low-cost carriers of Korea. So our GVB trade partners to intensify co-op programs, maximizing KOL media exposure, and leverage our digital ambassador assets. An integrated messaging campaign to highlight the community's resilience, assistance to stranded visitors, speed of cleanup, and recovery of public infrastructure. Destination positioning. Guam is somewhat disadvantaged in the competitive environment coming out of COVID. Asian destinations offer larger scales and cheaper costs of air travel to our source markets. And they also enjoy a much lower destination cost structure than Guam could provide because of the U.S. labor and other laws. Not surprisingly, Korea, Taiwan, and Singapore were the most popular overseas destinations revealed in a recent JTB survey. HIS summer bookings for international travel listed Guam at number 6, behind Seoul, Taipei, Bangkok, and Hawaii, among all destinations. And the most searched short-haul destinations at Expedia were Seoul and Taipei. We are mindful at the limited funding we have compared to larger competitors like Hawaii, the U.S. mainland, Hong Kong, Thailand, Malaysia, and even Singapore, which is the reason why we continue to highlight Guam's unique cultural heritage and the differentiating brand identity that sets us apart from other destinations. Mr. Chairman, in anticipation of this hearing, your committee had inquired into specific issues dealing with personnel, staffing, and compensation, procurement of supplies, and federal funding. At this time, I will have Rod Guåhan, our CFO, here, if you want him to address you on the issues of interest, followed by a short video on the progress of our cleanup, and Jerry Paris will direct that. Okay. Go ahead.
I think Rod can go ahead and follow up with the specific questions that the committee had raised prior to the hearing.
Good morning, Chairman San Agustin and members of the committee. My name is Rud Goodmallin, and I am the Financial Controller. I will provide insights on inquiries received from the Office of Finance and Budget relative to GVB's FY 2024 budget request. The Guam Visitors Bureau believes that the fiscal year 2024 budget accurately reflects the true needs of the Bureau's core mission and objective. To provide an update on federal funds, the Bureau received $20 million from the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds back in FY 2022. To date, a total of $5.5 million has been expended, while the remaining balance has been earmarked for the One Village, One Attraction project. The Bureau has not received any other additional funds. Capital outlay for FY 2023 was initially allotted for building improvements. However, due to Typhoon Mawar, the Bureau is forced to repurpose these funds to repair the damage sustained by GVB property, such as a generator, bus shelters, and office infrastructure. Repair projects have begun and are expected to be completed within the upcoming months. Regarding staffing, the Bureau does not have any identified prior year outstanding personnel obligations. In FY 2023, a new compensation model was approved and implemented. Created by an independent third-party consultant, the compensation model is based on comparable market data and tailored specifically for GVB to be both internally equitable and externally competitive. Regarding appropriation reserve, the Bureau would like to provide an update on excess tourist attraction funds. Public Law 36-107 authorizes the Bureau to expend up to the level of excess collections by the fund. As of May, a total of $1.3 million in actual excess cash collections has been identified. Once collected, the Bureau will allocate these funds to destination development projects that highlight Guam's unique heritage and marketing projects to restore visitor arrivals to pre-pandemic levels. On behalf of the Guam Visitors Bureau, we thank the committee for the opportunity to discuss our FY 2024 budget request. Before the conclusion of our presentation, a video will be displayed to provide an update on the cleanup progress and tourism recovery.
Thank you, Rod. Mr. Chairman, I've been
Mr. Burrs, if we can get a copy of your testimony, because you, really, Rod? Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Burrs.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've been in the tourism business for many years, and I've seen a number of disaster recoveries. And I don't know whether you and your committee are clairvoyant in anticipation of a disaster, but I'll tell you one of the most fortuitous benefits that we were able to see this past year was the ability for the general managers to have the flexibility for spending, because if it weren't for the timely repurposing of funds that we had to redirect toward our targeted objectives, we wouldn't have recovered this rapidly. I mean, in June, barely 3-4 weeks after the storm, we were getting like 16,000 visitors already. And we're in a run rate for almost 40,000 for July. And so we're rapidly recovering our trend. So what I wanted to I think pictures worth 1,000 words, right? So I wanted to see if we can show the video to give you, basically, this is made possible because of our ability to respond quickly. No sound? Oh, there's no sound. I'm sorry. There was. Oh, okay. See, these are all taken actually already after the typhoon. I know there was a run. Now these signs, these signatures there, basically were from our guests thanking the hotel for taking care of them. We wanted to show you basically the quick progress that the stakeholders have come into the picture to try to get this thing done, and our ability to assist financially in various ways. These photos were taken actually just a week and a half right after the storm. People were playing golf already. This was the beach bar just a few days before the picture that you here.
3 days later.
Yeah, 3 days later. The main goal that we wanted to achieve is we didn't want to miss July, August, and September business because these are peak months that we wanted to capture. If we missed it, then we'll have to wait 2 or 3 months for the scale to build up again. These are some of our visitors already in the beach. See how quickly the beach was clean. You know, there's a lot of heavy debris that were removed from the beach, but what wasn't seen is all the little things that were still left on the beach that was clean within the last 2 weeks, even on weekends. Kudos actually, and a shout out to people who worked throughout the weekend to get us back in business. See, despite the destroyed vegetation in the background, they're having fun. So you don't see any of the heavy debris because they've been removed. You can see before and after the Ipao Beach. Those are the little things that I was mentioning to you, that even if you remove the big items, there's still a lot of these little things in the beach that needed to be cleaned. This Ipao Beach, you can see all the little debris. And sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, but you need to really go down on your hands and knees to clean up these small items because mechanized equipment is discouraged. Unless you were down there, most people don't realize how much work was being done down in Tumon and Ipao just to make sure that we can get back in business by July. Even some of our carriers are helping with the cleanup. These are Gin Air folks that came to help clean. The Korean markets have been really very responsive to our. As you can see, Mr. Chairman, the cleanup and arrivals were going on simultaneously. It's just, I would tell you, I know I'm being repetitive, but this is probably the fastest I've ever seen us come back. We're back in business within 2 to 3 weeks of Court 4 being declared. I mean, within 2 weeks, the people down at the Lati Park were entertaining even our FEMA guests who were here, and they started their summer youth program. The tourist assistance program that we rolled out was a big help to the businesses that deliver the Guam experience. These people can't wait 1 month or 2 months to get money from SBA or FEMA. They need to be in business now if we're going to capture the summer business. These photos were taken last week, so you can see that there's a lot of those small things that were cluttering the beaches have been cleared away. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to share, seeing is believing, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Beers and Governor Carl. I'd like to also recognize 2 other colleagues that have joined us, Senator Brown and Senator Tato Tadigui, my vice chair. My only comment really is thank you, GVB, for the leadership, Governor Carl, for taking hold and holding it, calling everybody, getting everybody involved, cleaning up the parks, and reaching out to whoever and whoever's out there that is willing to help. I know there's still many projects you still got going on, and I hope for the success. And I do remember reading on the news you gave out a grants out to the business so they can get back on, get back open, and that was great because that's something like the legislature have done, like the LEAP program. But you've done that at that level, and I notice I drive by Tumon quite often, and it almost looks like there was never a typhoon or even COVID. I mean, there's a lot of folks down there moving around. And then again, that's included because of the response, FEMA, Red Cross, military folks. But I see a lot of tourists out there. I see quite a few. And I hope for the best in the future because that's what we need. We need the GVB, the tourist attraction fund to recover and pick up, and let's move forward because we can't leave anybody behind. And I thank you for your leadership on call. And with that, I'd ask the Oversight Chair if she has any questions or comments, and then we'll... You're going to go last? Okay. Then we'll have Senator Lujan, and then Senator Roy will follow, and then we'll move along from there. Senator Lujan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Morning, Governor. Dr. Barris, morning. I guess we can recoin the phrase that was once said, we now again have beautiful white beaches, huh? Or something like that. But thank you for that. I want to thank the staff and management, of course, of the Guam Visitor Bureau for your diligence and hard work, and you continue to do it. And I think if you weren't here today, you will still be out there cleaning, right? And there's still folks out there from the Guam Visitors Bureau cleaning. Yep, yep. Gov, and whoever in the panel, as the oversight chair of appropriations stated that the grant program that you guys had, can you give us a synopsis of that, and is that, I mean, has that stopped already now? Has that been exhausted? And then give us a preview on or I guess on the companies that applied for and the average amounts and things of that nature, and who these companies are, not necessarily who the ownership, but again, you know, the type of businesses.
The Sunday after the storm, you know, I picked up the article in the Post that said that the second LEAP request from all the various businesses was going to take a back seat to the recovery. And I knew that was really devastating to the businesses that are in the tourism market. That I just went through my mind that there must be something faster that we can do in waiting for that second lead. And I called up Dave Tedinko, and Dave Tedinko is out in the valley of the Lati, and I know they were really impacted very negatively, but if you ever read again and reread the GVB enabling legislation, they are the epitome, really, of what tourism was all about, is the cultural side. And we had to make sure that tourism showcase for our culture is really up and running. So in doing that, I reached out to Dr. Paris and said that we have to do something in place of LEAP, number 2. We called up Rod. I called up the governor and the lieutenant governor. I said, I have an idea that I think that we can really help quickly while you use the money that was anticipated for LEAP. I think there was $5 million from the legislature or $15 million and $5 million from the governor, which was set aside. And she said, well, let me know what you're going to do. And Jerry and I sat down with Rod and brought in Nadine, and we looked at what can we do to prop up these businesses, because we are going to start inviting our source market visitors back. But if we don't have the businesses for them to come and see what Destination Guam is like, it's no use. So we set aside $2 million that we reprogram, and that's what Jerry is saying to you, that for your foresight in giving me that authority of this first fiscal year budget, had us do a reprogramming of $2 million immediately and see what we could do about calling all these businesses that are in the tourism trade to apply for a grant up to $25,000 to get themselves ready to open. And we gave them a deadline of July 15th, which is a couple days from now. If you give you this money, would you have your business up and running? And accepting that, they do sign, and we're up at $2 million right now. But this is really a savior. Even the taxi drivers, right, that damages of their taxi, and the businesses that are, even bars, of course, they're down at 2 months. So that's what happened. If it wasn't for that authority that we had inherent in the budget law for this fiscal year, we wouldn't be here where we're at now. We all traveled to Japan and went to 5 cities in a matter of 5 days, marketing Guam and showing the governor's speech to them and the lieutenant governor that we are strong, we are open, come back. And so that was really what really got our tourists coming back, and the airlines rethinking about opening up quickly. Japan Airlines that followed us through the seminars down, up and down Japan, said that just after we were there, all their airlines are booked up to 90% starting July 15, which is a couple of days from now. That's Japan Airlines, which always hesitated and always balked at starting to fly to Guam. Now they're very, very happy because things are looking almost normal in Guam tourism. So,
Just to add to that, a couple of things. Number one, to his point, Japan Airlines is fully booked in August. They're full. To probably characterize your question and answer, Senator, what we did was assisted those businesses who can be open by middle of July, because that was what we wanted to do, is not miss the summer peak business. And the best way to describe that is the value chain of the Guam experience, from retail to option tours and so forth, make up the Guam experience. And so we had some criteria on qualification, and not everybody got 25,000, obviously, right? It varies.
Was that the cap? 25?
The cap was, 25. It's first come, first serve, and everybody knew that from the very beginning. Everybody knew that it depends on the level of damage. It depends on their nature in fulfilling the Guam experience, and we also need some verification on their business, including like their latest, their latest tax returns, so they're legitimate businesses. And so for the most part, we've exhausted, I think 1.9 million already is taken, right, Rod? But we had way over 500 applications, and I think we gave out about 290 something, or something around that name. Just to give you.
Now, how soon after the storm did you guys implement this?
How soon?
Yes, how soon after the storm? The length of time from the storm to the implementation of this program?
Within 3 to 4 days, we pulled this stuff together, and we were starting to take applications on the spot. In fact, we were inundated the first day.
Came in Sunday morning after the storm.
Yeah.
The idea came in Sunday morning after the storm. That's 3 days after the storm. Monday morning, we were meeting with people from the industry, including people that have been senators and are in business here, to pick their brains. Like I asked Simon Sanchez to come down, Dave Tedinko, and others Mark Bodiga, to sit down and see what we can do to get this thing out quickly. So by Wednesday, we were already giving out some of the checks. That's from Sunday, germination of the idea, to Wednesday, the checks were out to some of these people, and they are operating fully. So that's how quickly we did.
Okay. I'm asking these questions for a point, because obviously I wasn't serving the 36th Guam legislature, so I'm trying to understand management's position versus the board. We know, from the beginning of this term, there's been a question between management and board, and I know Senator Tello has a bill, and I hope that we would be able to pass that one day. But the reason why I'm asking is this: between that storm and now, how many board meetings have the Guam Visitors Bureau had?
We had one board meeting while he was traveling in Japan, drumming up business. And basically that meeting, at that meeting, I updated the board on our strategic goals and how we were funding it and progress to date.
And what I'm trying to get to is this: in the quick response and actions that GVB had immediately after storm, you said 3-4 days after the storm, you gathered folks, as you once did at Pleasure Island, to come up with that concept. You responded, and alongside the agreement with the governor's office, in a program to be able to help businesses that were affected by, I guess, trying to recover from the pandemic, and also and then enhance, not enhance recovery, but enhanced, I guess, delayed from the storm. And you guys came up with the idea, since the LEAP 2 program was set aside, you came up with this program. Now, would that have happened if management didn't have the authority to be able to come up with these programs?
Not as quickly. As a matter of fact, Jerry didn't say, but the first board meeting that was called, there was no quorum. So then they had to go for another 2 weeks. So there's these delays that are inherent in just having people put together with lack of communications. One of the board members would have made a quorum, but our communication system was down and we couldn't get in on that. But you cannot, you know, even if you did, you know, that law that you put in there, Senator San Agustin, that gave the GM the authority, actually that's inherently in the GVB's enabling legislation. It just made it very clear that that authority is really with management. And so there's no pushback on that. Even the board members are very happy that we have that authority, you know, whether they like to say it publicly or not, but they were very happy that we moved quickly. We moved up and down Japan, and getting the airlines propped up so that they don't have to pull back. Because once you pull back any scheduled service, it's going to take months to get it back on. So we had to go in there and plug that up quickly so they don't pull back any flights and then wait for 3 or 4 months to get it reenacted.
Well, I know in a previous roundtable, the last roundtable we had, the Visitors Bureau Guam roundtable, we had a member of the board, but wasn't representing the board per se, representing themselves as an individual. And that I posed that question in regards to the expenditures, the management expenditures at this point, whether they had a problem. And the individual had said, there's no problem. There was no problem, only that they weren't consulted. So, but you still submit reports to the board regarding
yes.
all the actions, expenditures, right?
And we respect the position of the board. It's just that there are certain times when you compete with people outside of Guam, when you compete with the Hawaii destination, Taiwan,
Sure.
you know, Vietnam, Korea, especially from Japan, you got to be able to have some kind of a leverage to move quickly.
Sure, and I understand that. And again, this last session we passed a bill that was urgent to the airport. They had concessions expiring actually in 7 days. So expeditiously, abiding by the open government laws and all that, we were able to get that passed. And the governor again expeditiously signed that bill into law. Only to find out that the board could not take action because they didn't have a quorum.
Yeah.
So that's the situation that you know we're dealing with in that. And as long as the checks and balances are there, but in regards to the expenditures, you're still reporting to the board all expenditures, all that. And again, I got to commend you guys for the swift action that you've taken. I guess we wouldn't have the recovery, as fast a recovery, if that provision was not stated within the public law in the 36.
And to ensure even better that, Mr. Senator, is the bill of Senator Tello. I think if you just 2 provisions in there are changed, that would be sufficient enough to be able to you know get the board in congruity with the management as far as you know the bylaws and the law. But if that can be passed with certain 2 or 3 provisions in there, you know, I think that it will serve well the people of Guam for actions like this. I mean, it had to come to a storm like this. It had to have that law that was put in there by Senator San Agustin for us to be where we're at right now. I mean, recovering, and everybody is benefiting from it.
No, I know there was some pushback in regards to piecemealing some changes that need to happen, and I thought early on during a previous roundtable as well that we were going to piecemeal. We were going to make corrective actions or corrective changes within the structure as we went along. But this last roundtable we had, there was the individual that was a board member. He said that it must be done holistically in one shot. I don't see that. I don't see that happening without disturbing again the way things are being run. I think there are some things that need fixing and tweaking at this point, but to holistically do things right off, I mean, in one shot, in one bill, a corrective measure with that, I don't think it'd be, in my opinion, conducive to operations of GVB at this point. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, I remember that first round table when one board member said, I'm here to vote for holistic everything, just pass it here. I mean, they've never gone through a legislative process. It's not that easy, right? So if you can tweak whatever you can right now that's in contention with the board and the management, I think it serves the people of Guam well. And then you can do your holistic thing, go through your whole oversight and figure out what's the best way. I think that maybe the current, the old law that created GVB, I think should be revamped now. We've come a long way in 50-some years of running tourism. It's, in the past, it's not the same kind of people that are saying that people in the industry should know better. But you get problematic with that kind of stuff. People in the it's gone to the place where people get comfortable with not following laws, and then you look at what's going on right now.
Well, this is a general caution to all board members because this AG is very active in making sure that law is adhered to. And and it applies to board members, and commission members and things of that nature. And so it's I think it's a general warning to every board and commission out there that they need to. I think one of the requirements that we need to take, as well as other members of course the administration, that we need to take an ethics course, right? But I think also, on top of that, is knowing your duties as a board and commission member, that they have to know that, and they have to know the laws, because again, the Attorney General of Guam is adhering to the law and the letter of the law.
Yeah. And following up on President Carl's comments on Tello's bill, coming up with perfection is the quickest way. Perfection is a recipe for really not getting anything done, okay? So going back to his comments, I think, I know there's a wish list and there's a holistic way of handling Senator Tello's bill, but if two issues are addressed, number one, financial disclosure, and number two, cumulative voting, if those two items can be addressed at least, I think we would go a long way toward helping to harmonize our operations.
And I think that's the conclusion that, the roundtables that we've had and the arguments back and forth that we've had, and those are, again, of the smaller businesses that are saying, hey, we have very little to no voice at all when we're up against the big guys that have deeper pockets than we do. And so, again, there's equality in that. One man, one vote, one company, one vote, that type of thing, right? But anyway, with that, again, I would just want to thank you guys, congratulate the Guam Visitors Bureau, management, and staff on your diligence and your continued efforts, of course, to to clean up our island and help the different villages. And I know, again, as I said, if you weren't here today, you guys will be, as some of your staff are still out there cleaning up our island.
I'd like to thank the staff of Senator Lujan, Senator San Agustin, and Senator Quinata. They were out there working hard, cleaning up the place. Quinatas was the most hardworking group that they like to rake. They like to rake up the things. The rest are there. But I tell you, when I had them walk from one end of the Hilton Beach, all your people, by the time they get to the other end, you won't see one rock. But that didn't work. And they felt happy that they're contributing to the beautification of Tumon and Matapang.
I tried to drive the backhoe and use your driver's license, but they won't let me on it. So anyway.
All right, thank you, Lon.
Thank you,
Senator Lon.
Mr. Chair.
Senator Roy, do you have any questions or comments for the panel?
No, I certainly don't have any questions for them today, but I wanted to applaud them for their tireless efforts to ensure that our economic pillar of tourism continues to thrive and make sure our island thrives. Obviously, it's very, very important and prudent that we make sure our economy is in a thriving motion so that we all thrive together. So obviously my office is a very proactive office. We want to be there to support you guys in whatever way possible. Even if it means going out there to rake every pebble out there, we will do so. Special thanks to the UI Summer Youth Intern employees. They've been a huge help in my office, and we will continue to do so. So wish you all the best and have a good day. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Senator Canata. Senator Brown, do you have any questions? You came in before Senator Tello. Ma'am, do you have any? No, do you have anything?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Certainly welcome to the Guam Visitors Bureau and Governor Carl and your staff and all the work that you're doing. I think we recognize you've taken the helm at an incredibly challenging time for the Guam Visitors Bureau. I mean, certainly we've had the earthquake and we've had typhoons, but we've never had a combination of dealing with COVID and the incredible adverse impact that had on our industry for several years. And then, you know, you're just getting started again, and then here we are with another typhoon. So I certainly credit your initiative to be at the wheel at this time to move our tourism industry, because you have a considerable task to try to get that almost literally the entire industry back in operation. I wanted to ask, how are our hotels faring? I know there's some challenges we've heard with regards to rehiring employees in the industry, and where are we with that? And certainly in your efforts going out to our tourism destinations to get them to come, Governor, what is the feedback and what are you seeing? I mean, you did mention that these flights are, for next month in particular, are booked and they're, you know, we're going to get the visitors back, but how are we in gearing up on the local side? And I appreciate all the efforts and the beautification and cleaning, and it was quite a task to do that. But how do you see our industry itself gearing up because of some of those issues we've heard with challenges, maybe getting some of the employees back after this, you know, several years of, you know, adverse impact to our industry, and are they geared up to absorb our tourists to come back? So they have a good visitor experience and want to keep coming back.
Yes. Senator, I know it is not making us feel any better, but globally, there's a dire shortage of hospitality workers. The American Hotel and Restaurant Association has got like literally tens of thousands of people that are short. And so this is one of the reasons why they're retooling their service and getting it more digitized so that it's more self-driven. But on Guam, I think we're suffering the same situation. And I think the Hotel and Restaurant Association can probably best address that. But from our point of view, we know that there is a shortage of hospitality workers, particularly in the hotel and service industries. I don't know really how to fix it right off the bat, but it is a problem that we're coping with, and it's an issue which is why I was advocating intensification of our digitized environment so that a lot of this service can actually be replaced by, electronically. And having said that, I'd be the first to say that it makes us also more vulnerable because when we had a typhoon and the power is gone, we have really no means of communication, right? That we've witnessed. So it's kind of a dilemma, but I'm not sure what the real answer is to your question, other than to share that globally, there's a shortage. Even in Japan, they're having trouble in the airports, the Narita Airport and Haneda Airport, having trouble finding people to work at the airport to service their flights that are going out. So it's a global problem, and it's a challenge, I think, for our hospitality industry to address.
Things that you're looking at doing, I mean, I understand globally, but of course, we want to look at home. How can we? I mean, we have so many people, the irony, that are unemployed, and we have a growing list of people that are on social welfare, and that number continues to grow. And a lot of these people are very capable of working. I mean, I'm very much of an advocate of working. If you're capable of working, you should work. I don't think people that are in need, our children are disabled, or elderly, that I understand. But if you're in that age of working, I have an expectation, as we all do. Many of you have been working for many years. You get up every day and go to work, that there's some honor in that, and earning your own salary and contributing. Is there any other outreach that you look at that you can coordinate with GCC or other institutions to see how we can facilitate? Because it's really going to require a new infusion of a workforce, almost a new workforce coming in to accommodate. And I appreciate all the, our modern technologies, but there's nothing that replaces that warm welcome or that human interaction that would make people want to come back and get away from their day-to-day responsibilities of work and be on vacation and relax and have that feeling. And there's nothing other than that direct contact that can facilitate that. So
Agree.
I mean, we want to invite them, but if their experience is not enjoyable because they don't see the support base there, then we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak.
Yeah, the hospitality industry is about interaction with people as well, and so I understand and I agree. And there are probably unemployed folks here that can get into the workforce. It might require some training assistance and that sort of thing, but it's not like we don't have people around. We do, but just not in the right jobs.
And Governor, what are you seeing in going out to our tourism destinations, the feedback from the industry people you're dealing there to try and encourage and get the message out to come back to Guam? What are you gauging of their feedback from you there?
You're asking about the potential visitors, or
yes, I mean you've been going out, making very aggressive efforts to market the island. So I just wanted to get what your impressions and feedback, and what are you getting from them in terms of their interest of wanting to come to Guam or come back to Guam?
Global marketing guru Nadine give you exact. She's been there 40 years. She knows everything going on.
All right.
He keeps aging me. Overall, the feedback has been extremely positive. The video where you saw Jin air cleaning, those employees actually came from Korea to help us. So Korea and Japan remain positive about coming to Guam. The agents and even the consumers have expressed their concerns, well wishes, and willingness to come.
And with regards to our tourism, I mean, we've seen the growth of the tourism, Korean tourists coming to the island. How is that? I mean, I see their numbers almost comparable with Japan, and we've seen a decrease over the years. Where do you see the trend after this going?
So after the storm, it'll take a little while for Korea to ramp up again, but it's not going to take months. We're just talking like a couple of weeks for all the flights to stabilize, and then the arrivals to be back up again.
And then my last question, again, I know you're the Guam Visitors Bureau, but in terms of working with our local hotel industry, what status are our hotels in terms of being able to accept these visitors after the storm, in terms of any repairs or recovery they've had to address of their facilities to accommodate our tourists?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
In terms of our hotel industry, as a result of the typhoon, I mean, where are they with regards to recovery from the typhoon in terms of any repairs or damage that may have happened to their facilities in terms of being able to accept our visitors coming to the island? Where are they in your engagement with them?
My understanding is they're all pretty much accepting reservations now. We've been following up with them on a regular basis, checking to see if their rooms are up and ready, if their facilities are up and ready. And with regards to visiting media, are they camera ready? So everything pretty much is
Yeah, they're generally all in business, actually. There might be some rooms or some floors that might not be ready that they're working on, but they are accepting, visitors. All of the hotels are.
Well, certainly good news. We look forward to seeing, we definitely want to see the recovery of our industry. I've kind of been scratching my head over the last few years at the amount of money we've spent and the amount of appropriations we do in this legislature, considering such a major industry has been inoperable because of the COVID and now, delays because of the typhoon. So I'm hoping that our industry will grow back because at the rate we're spending and the rate we've increased government, not on our end, but somebody's got to pay the bills. So we certainly look forward to your continued efforts and certainly to you, Dr. Perez, to you, Governor Gutierrez. We're very confident with your leadership with GVB. We certainly wish you continued success and you have all the skill sets that we need at this time to help get our industry back on track. So we appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator Tyree, my vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and my apologies for being a little late. But of course, it's something I definitely didn't want to miss. I have a special part in my heart for GVB. Not only that, but had the opportunity to work with many of you who when I worked there, is still there. And I know that I've never met any more hardworking individuals than at GVB. And now that Governor Gutierrez is there, or the president is there, you guys are probably working even harder, if anything. I see you guys have tan lines now, and you got some extra muscles on your arms because it's no longer just sitting on the desk. You're out there actually, moving the debris. You're actually, putting things back in place, doing your best to get Guam going again. And I just want to thank you very much for the employees over at GVB for putting your heart and soul, and now your muscle, into the agency. There is a couple questions I have regarding the budget. And looking at what was given to us, Dr. Perez and President Gutierrez, do you have this? Okay. Can we get a copy of the OFB spreadsheet to look at this? This kind of makes it easier for us. The chairman has put something together for us to make it a lot easier to look at it and see the funding up front. I'd like to take your attention to the second page on contractual services. Now, I know for the last 3-4 years, you have been living, like 80% less than what you're usually getting in your budgets. And you've been doing very well to adjust to that. And we're hoping that, tourism picks up. In fact, there is hope because the projected revenues in FY23 is actually the only special fund that is, well, I'm not sure if it's the only special fund, but I do know that that one is trailing more than what we projected. It's about 6.6 million more than what we projected, but I'll ask you another question on that later on. So the contractual services, you're asking for $6 million more in that. Can you tell me where that is going to go to?
You're talking about the difference between the 6 million difference between now and next fiscal year. Yeah, this is now the push comes to shove, Senator. The marketing aspects now of Guam versus the other destinations who are killing us in marketing strategies and expenditures, that although we come up with the best kind of marketing efforts, sometimes we are really, really hurting when there's some things that we cannot control, like the price of travel, right? I mean, when it costs you more to fly to Guam round trip than it does from Japan.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Yeah, from Japan to Hawaii, which is more than twice the distance, and is half the price. So we're dealing with that. So we're trying to figure out that this $6 million more is towards the marketing efforts that we need to prop up now if we're going to be competitive. And Jerry, you want to?
Yeah, that category, for the most part, actually is driven by our destination improvement team. There's been long years of neglect in really revitalizing our cultural assets and improving our, physical assets. And so we're devoting a lot of business or a lot of investment in that. 27%, I think, is what we are asking for this fiscal year, basically to fix the parks, do a lot of the things that really we shouldn't be doing, but for lack of results, had to jump in and get it done to give credibility to the marketing message that we give. Because when we advertise Guam, we create expectations in the mind of visitors, rightly or wrongly, and when they get here, we need to make sure that we deliver as close as we can the images that conjure up in their minds when we're advertising Guam. So a lot of that really has to do with the destination improvements. If you look around and see, some of the parks that this guy's been renovating already, so a big part of that is contractual services. We don't have full-time people on that except for maybe a few LTAs. But if you look at Tumon now, all those trimming in the trees and such, we're doing that ourselves to save on contractual services. But we still need to contract a lot of that work out, in addition to the airfares that he's mentioning and other things. Yeah.
Well, we're all getting a taste of new airfare costs, lately, and I think Senator Lujan is looking into that because, someone was just telling us it costs $8,000, to go to, Alaska, Washington State. Economy, one way, 8,000. So he's definitely looking into that. And why is that so? But I do understand, that everything has gone up. Inflation has pushed everything up. So, but there is one thing that I want to make sure that the funding, and I'm glad you brought it up, is destination management, that money is going to be utilized on Guam. People come to Guam to see our island in its pristine, in every aspect of the word of beauty, that beautification projects are needed on this island. Upkeep, the bathrooms, we're still having a big issue with the bathrooms. So what is the status there with GVB? What are they doing to ensure that these bathrooms are kept clean?
Senator, when I was out there with the crew cleaning up the Tumon and Ipao, for example, you see these, I don't know how many years it's been there, but those cement 55-gallon trash bin just really is ugly. Number two, it never worked from the beginning. People throw the first bag in there and it's overflowing already, and then nobody picks it up. So we removed all of that. Now we're trying to come up, at least I'm trying to make one of my ideas work, where probably you'll see a couple more LTAs put in here to be able to go actually have a person walking the beaches or persons walking the beaches with a camera, asking Parks and Rec that when these people want to rent a space at Ipao Beach or Matapang Beach, that probably you have to charge them a little bit more if they don't take their own trash home. So we're going to be doing something like that. We're going to actually monitor every time they're there. People come up with, I'll send Michael or Roy to take their picture of them and say, take your trash when you're done. Otherwise, you're not going to come back anymore. We're not going to just allow them on good faith. It doesn't work. It really does not work. So you might see, I might pay somebody $25,000 working and going, making sure that you don't spend $100,000 eventually removing that trash again the next day. So we're trying to do something where there really tourism works for employment of our people as well. And I think I'd rather have a guy standing out there with his camera than that cement container that is going to be overfilled. So you'll see some of that go up as we try to make sure that, because I've always been results oriented. I'm going to buy a backhoe, because for us to be able to get a backhoe when we need it, it'll take 2 weeks just to go out and try to procure their services. It's easier to have somebody there than move in 5 minutes and go and get something out. So those are the things we're trying to make it work, because the laws right now in procurement are just so extensive, all the hoops you have to jump through, and by the time you get it done, it's already too late.
Well, Governor, who oversees the restrooms, like the one at Ipao Beach, the one down in the PD Park area, Matapang? Who oversees those restrooms?
Who will receive it?
Who oversees them to ensure that they're...
It's Parks and Rec. And
Parks and Rec, and what kind of relationship do you have with Parks and Recs to ensure?
We're good. They saw what we're able to do over the last 2 weeks, right? You said, you go home, I'll take care of this. Tell EPA to go to sleep, and I'll take care of this thing when we're done, and we'll clean it up, right? But the problem is that I've sent 2 letters, and the governor is looking at actually giving GVB a license to oversee, for example, Laddystone Park. And hardly anybody goes there anymore. This has been damaged. In Triangle Park, I don't know if you've noticed, but you're not supposed to notice, but it's blended right in to the actual structure there. There's a cottage there built in for someone to stay there 24 hours a day, pay them or clean up not only Triangle, but also Laddystone Park. 24-hour surveillance. That's what we're doing. It's cheaper for me to put a $20,000 cottage in there and have them pay minimum to oversee that. It's people watching, Senator. We can't just nobody cares really when they go out there and they're already drunk and they just throw their trash all over the place.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest part of destination management is not just, the beautification of areas, but it's also in twofold. One, the cleanliness, making sure that they're monitored, and the second one is safety. I know that we used to have security cameras in Tumon, bring that little comfort to our tourists that, someone is watching them to make sure they're okay. So the $6 million, I think it's very little. It's a very little amount compared to what needs to be done today. And we're getting into that position thanks to Guam Visitors Bureau stepping up to the plate, not waiting for anybody, or, they're moving forward. Well, as you move forward, we need to prepare, because this is not going to be the last typhoon we have. It's anticipated to have more typhoons coming up. So as we repair, we also need to put in mind that when we do that we prepare for the next typhoon, to make sure it's solid and taken care of. I agree about those trash bins that you were talking about, those cement trash bins. It's a good idea to remove them. I've seen many of them on the beach side that has actually are kind of wedged into the shoreline now. I mean, it's almost under the sand. You can't even see it. So,
but may I just draw to your attention to sure. Not only you, but the senators. We've got 5 already up. Over the last couple of days. But since I've been there over 3 years, we could not get anyone to bid on restoring those street lights, all of San Vittori's, all the way down from one end to the other. When it was wired 20-some years ago, nobody can really go find where everything's at. So came up with the idea of actually, if you drive down, once you get down to the Hilton and you start to drive to GVB, there's 5 or 6 poles there already we've installed. It's a special way that we designed it. It's a solar light, 150 watts over the roadway, and right behind it is 100 watts straight on the sidewalk. And if you just go there now and take a look at it, it's all solar. We use the same pole. We did the wattage strictly by the height of where those. This is a ceramic poles. So they already have holes there. We can't go be digging new holes to move the height. But what we're using right there now, you just drive there in the evening and you see right in front of GVB what it's going to look like when we put it out on bid all the way up to Weston. And so we don't have to worry about it. Right now, it's very dark and dangerous out there.
Right. Well, that also gives you the opportunity to incorporate cameras out there too as well. This is not just for, our tourism, but it's also for,
Yeah, the light,
for our
light
public.
bracket has a camera too.
Yeah, there are many people who are out there. I mean, we saw it during COVID, since the tourists were not there. I was seeing tons of people down there, our local community, utilizing, Tumon to do their exercising. And in fact, a couple of people were actually, I don't want to say mugged, but they were, accosted during the time they were walking. And one of the cameras in that area was actually working from another building to be able to see who did this. So we really need to look at cameras to provide that safety. And I'm not just talking about Tumon. The capability of doing it at Sela Bay, on the south side, all those in Alahan Pool,
Yes.
The tourist destinations. It brings another set of eyes. I mean, God knows we were trying to get as many police officers into the force, but unfortunately, many people can't pass the test. So what do? We have to come up with another solution. So that brings me to knowing that there really is not a whole lot of money that's put into destination management. I asked GVB to look at your budget again and incorporate more funding into that area of destination management on not only beautification, but safety as well as cleanliness as well.
Well, we have our destination queen, Dee Hernandez, and she and I go around. She's been there a long time too, like Nadine.
Yep.
So we're watching. We're trying to do different ways, and we're even trying to get a camera within the post of the solar lights. We're trying everything else that's going to make it cheaper and more, better to keep going without maintenance.
Well,
So,
I tell you what.
please, if you want to add a little bit more, you're welcome to do it. But please, and that's what I'd like to bring up, Senator San Agustin. When you gave us that budget this year, right now, and you took away $6 million from our budget, but you said, okay, we need it to balance the budget, but if the TAF comes in at more than $16 million,
Exactly.
you can keep and use it. Make sure that happens, because the DOA wants to take half of it. I mean, I can't understand how these people think that, GVB is we need to get the gas moving on our economy, and that's GVB.
That was the other question, Governor Gutierrez, that the Senator San Agustin incorporated into the FY 2023 budget, that any excess revenue from the TAF would go directly to GVB, and it right now is trailing at $6.6 million. So I hope you're aggressively going after that money, and I know exactly where you can put it, destination management.
Yes.
But I also want to commend you, Governor, even in the destination management, is the I love Guam, I love Hagat, I love Inalahan, I love these signs that are going up. People are stopping and taking pictures. And I'm not just talking about the tourists. We're talking about our locals coming in and taking pictures. That was such a great project that you put in play. I commend you guys for doing that, and look forward to new ideas and seeing other villages get that same kind of sign, because I know some of them feel they're left out. So, once you do it for one Gov, you got to do it for all of them. So
We're doing it.
So I appreciate it. Okay, the other one, I just want to look at this other part that says office rental. It's much lower this year. Office rental last year was at 141,666, but this year it's at 80. Is there any reason for that? That change?
We moved our Japan office.
So desu.
In Japan, yeah. We
Made it
moved
lower
out
rec
of one
district.
a very high area
Okay.
in the Ginza to another place.
Lower the
that's
mount.
cheaper.
Okay, that's good. Good thinking on that end. Other than that, Senator Lujan was bringing up the bill. I'm hoping to get through, because I know that we're having a roundtable tomorrow. Please, I hope you attend that, and we can talk more about the legislation that we had a public hearing on. Governor, you were not there, but hearing you today on moving forward, at least piecemeal right now, something we can do right now. The bill already had a public hearing. It has an opportunity to get on the session floor. at least we can take care of, like Dr. Paris mentioned earlier, at least we can get those things in place, and then we can move on to the next step and the next step, because this can't be done overnight,
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so again, thank you to the GVB crew out there, the employees there. I can't tell you how proud I am to say that I used to work at GVB with all the work that you're doing out there in our community. And the people are seeing it. They really are. And they're smiling just like I am right now on such a wonderful group of people led by two great people, and I know he's very much loved down there at GVB. Governor Gutierrez and Dr. Paris, I can't tell you. Yeah, I'm just so proud of what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Tyree. Before the oversight chair, Senator Lujan said he has one question, and I'm only going to give him room for one question.
Actually, just to expand on what you were saying about surveillance and all that, and the GVB has oversight on those safety folks, right? The yellow shirt.
The G4S?
Yeah.
VSO.
Yeah, VSO. Okay. Have you also thought, because you're talking about giving cameras to take pictures, on folks that may be littering and not taking their trash out, but have you thought of incorporating as well, maybe drone surveillance, as part of the security measures that you're?
Yeah, we've thought of it, but it's timing is not right now. Really, it's we're trying to get the basic, the analog kind of stuff we're doing right now, and not get to high tech. Let's clean out the beaches first, and I'll get to the drone.
No, I mean, I'm just like, to augment their physical presence. Because I know, I was talking to, as a matter of fact, the folks that do the drone shows, right? And they said that they're willing to come in and help with their drones in surveillance.
And to his credit, Attorney General Doug Moylan has asked us when we met, and we're trying to put something together, not only that, with the cameras as well as drones and safety, the whole works that we're now working together with the Police Department, Public Works, Parks and Rec, and the Attorney General's office.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Amanda, Oversight Chair, please.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll follow in the same line, contractual services and visitor safety. I'm glad to see that the biggest chunk of the $6 million increase to your contractual service is for destination management, is for visitor safety. I think that's absolutely necessary as we welcome back our visitors, and to give them that sense of security while they're here on the island, not to let any of these reports of unfortunate events like the muggings that have happened in Tumon deter them from visiting the island, or any unsafe area might scare them away. And so I'm glad that we will have that. In addition to making our visitors feel safe, this is something great for our public. I know that the folks that we have visiting us here in the legislature are happy to see the safety officers out in their bright yellow shirts patrolling these grounds as well, and we're happy to welcome them here as our partners and bring them along with us in the Hagåtña area. I wanted to ask about the different increases to the marketing efforts for Japan, Korea, North America. I see all of those have an increase. When it comes to Taiwan, we're seeing a slight decrease. And in previous hearings and discussions that we've had with the team from GVB, Taiwan seemed to be a very promising market for us a few years back. So what's going on now that we are decreasing our efforts there?
Okay, well, first
I can get started.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of reasons, Senator. Our latest information, for example, with China Airlines, they're still evaluating. They may not be flying for the rest of the year again. We're trying to convince Starlux to extend their charters. They've got like 5 charters left in July, and they're evaluating whether to continue with that. There are a couple other airlines like EVA and China. The biggest issue they have is equipment shortage and manpower shortage. And so our Taiwan office has even talked to Vietjet, a LCC carrier, and starting to explore that possibility. But in terms of spending money for that market, I think it's more like a maintenance issue right now than a driving issue to generate business.
Yes, right now, the only connection we have as far as bringing in the 3,500 tourists were the charters coming in from Lion Travel rather, and it looks like they're going to make their presence here. They're going to finally, they're the biggest travel business in Taiwan, opening an office here. It's still moving forward. But Starlux is really the one that I feel that I feel, because I've interacted with the owner all the time to ensure them that Guam is really going to be a great destination for them they already have the ability to fly here. We just need to convince them to do it. And China Airlines is part of the government airlines, and they have harder rules for them to fly. And with that, we're trying to work out a system with the Minister of Tourism in Palau, Ngirai Matuo, on how to make sure that their 2 flights a week on China Airlines come through Guam to make it sustainable. So that's even in the works. And so in visiting AIT in January, that's the American Institute in Taiwan, which is really the embassy of the United States there. We're putting together a white paper, and I think I explained this to you, of using the national security of the United States, including Guam, of course, and the national security of Taiwan as a jumping point for them to give us waivers for airlines to be able to not only get passengers here, but cargo as well. The Governor of Guam has tasked me to see what we can do about really getting cargo from food stuff particularly. And the AIT was like sat up and said, that's exactly what we're looking for. We need to be able to bring food to Guam for the military as well, because 90% of the food stuff that leaves Taiwan to China has been stopped for the last 3 years. And so there's no place for them to send it to. But coming through Guam, especially with a waiver on cargo, which we believe we can get, and Senator Lujan did that thing on the waiver for the cabotage. So we'll be able to do something with that, and so hopefully, I don't know whether you've already got it with the airport, because we're not working with the airport anymore to do that request for waiver with the Department of Transportation.
Senator, the budgeted amount is for fiscal 24, right?
Yes.
But if an opportunity arises mid-year or someplace, there's really nothing to stop us from rebalancing our budget and taking care of that.
Sure. So in the meantime, you're enticing these small carriers to hopefully start flying. And are we going to see an increase in any of these charter flights?
Well, they're up to August, end of July or August? Up to August. We're trying to convince them by coming in with some incentives with them, and we have been giving some kind of incentives. We were making some kind of an agreement, but it kind of got bogged up again because of, I know that, maybe I shouldn't even bring it up, but sometimes when you get involved with certain people that are really closely, part of GVB, then it becomes problematic as far as trying to give money to someone that may be, a conflict. But we were going to give them money up front to be able to continue the charter, and for any seats after like maybe 60 or 70%, then it goes into a scale. But we're trying to keep the charter going, Senator. And thank you for putting some attention on the Taiwan market. That was my favorite market from the beginning. I know it was 29,000 at the highest it ever was in 2019. And we really, I know because the governor asked me specifically to go to Taiwan and make sure that we can get this going. But just listen again one more time. The military needs to be fed. And the food stuff that was going to China, 90% of it has been stopped. And they need to be able to channel that over not only for the military, but for the civilians as well. And that's where they might intercede with the Department of Transportation and give us some kind of a waiver in asking for that.
Okay, thank you. Now, another market, I know we understand the increase to the Japan market, to the Korea market, our number one visitors, and what are we hoping for with this increase to the North America marketing?
Well, you know, again, North America has sometimes been put in the back burner, but in speaking with the governor again, we want to be able to do a homecoming, and we have gone now to the point where we have hired, we have a relationship with the Chamorro House right now that is going to be marketing now North America. And we're trying to do it not only with the U.S. carriers, but with foreign carriers as well. You know, where they're gathering, for example, the information they have in their computers right now is 170 Chamorros in their listing, 40,000 Filipinos with a Guam connection in their storage. And I've been to the Philippines, spoke with the Philippine Airlines. They have agreed that they'll look at it very closely. I've spoken to 3 hotels that has agreed that if we put the homecoming program through where you fly, let's say Philippine Airlines from Los Angeles, San Francisco, go to the Philippines, you have to stay 72 hours before you can make that connection to come to Guam. But the hotels are willing to put them up at $61 with 2 breakfasts. So there's 3 hotels already there. And on the way back, they'll have to stay another 3 days before they can make the connection to go to the States. I think that will work very well for the 40,000 Filipinos that have connections to Guam, because they naturally have connections to the Philippines as well. But the Chamorros also coming this way would love to stay 3 days in the Philippines. I don't know about going back 3 days more, but they need to do that. So Toru Takahashi has been asking the hotels in Narita to see whether they can come up with some kind of a pricing that would allow our people to fly from California to an overnight 3 days in Japan, both ways too. And they said they would work with ANA, All Nippon Airways, which has I think it's the connection with United Airlines, where you have no problem. You have no problem with cabotage. They can just connect or stay 1 day or 2 days and not 3. So we're working on that as well for Japan.
Okay, that sounds exciting. I'm sure a lot of folks will be happy to come home and visit with family and spend that time here. In the contractual services, there's also a pretty big increase, almost $500,000 to miscellaneous provisions. What are we looking at there?
Which one? Which on the contractual?
Supplies and materials.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
I'm sorry, miscellaneous under contractual services.
Yeah, this is where you know, we're right next to EPAL, right? A lot of this stuff there. So I'm looking to buy a backhoe. I'm going to hire it. Already interviewed one yesterday. I interviewed a backhoe operator. We're going to get other equipment like a lift where we can go up and fix our own lights. When we go through these contracts, I tell you, we're not getting our money's worth. I mean, they come every 2 weeks and boop, 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 and then take off. We want somebody that gets results right there and then. So we need that $500,000 to be able to move a different way of getting things accomplished, especially towards the 6 people that I want roaming the beaches from EPAL all the way down with their cameras, their visibility. Watch the purses that are there while the people are swimming. We're going to show the presence, like you said, for the VSOs. In the past, when I was governor, we had the CAT team, the Crimes Against Tuman Tourists, but we were using police officers on bicycles. Well, now we're going to just train our own people just to take video and look tough.
Okay, in addition to the safety officers that we do have.
What's that?
In addition to the safety officers that we do have. So we're going to
In
put
addition.
more people in the neon yellow, or this is going to be your GVB team going out
GVB team,
and...
LTAs, they can come and go, but they're not going to be a permanent thing. But we need it. We just need it because we can tell them what to do right away and not
Okay.
cost us much.
Okay, I think your backhoe operator conversation is a good segue to the ARP funds, because in our last report that we received here in the legislature, we know that the entire amount that you received, the $20 million to GVB, has already been encumbered. And there was
No, it's not.
in the report it states that the funds are
It's encumbered by sitting there for the one destination, one village thing for the future.
Sure, that's what I wanted to ask about.
Yeah.
So there were, we had some discussion here about that project. We talked a little bit about the Reimagine Guam project, and I wanted to know, are those still things that are in the works? What are we doing with that $20 million? Like this $425,000 that we're hoping to buy the backhoe with and get a backhoe operator, are those things we can use that ARP money for?
No.
Because these are already specific projects we're thinking about.
No, well, actually, the governor, every time we're going to use well, there's only 13.5 there, a little less than 13.5. We haven't been reimbursed the 6.5 that the governor authorized us to be able to work the COVID-related testing for the people to go back to Korea and Japan. Remember that?
Yes.
She gave us that permission, but they haven't reimbursed it yet. But the 13.5 is set aside for a program that would work. And we have a program moving forward, one village, one destination.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, in addition to that, we do have like several villages already that are in communication with our team to develop a unique product or service or attraction to help push visitors to these villages instead of just on Tumon. So we basically have 3 or 4 initiatives right now with several villages on developing this attraction. So that's what the money is going to go for.
Okay,
You just can't use the ARP money like to buy backhoe like that. I don't think she's going to give me a permission to do that.
So we're no longer using that money for any Matapang Beach renovation, for any Reimagine Guam. It's going to be strictly for one village, one product initiatives.
We never intended it for Matapang ever. We're talking about IPAO maybe at the time.
Oh, maybe IPAO.
Yeah, IPAO is off the table already.
Okay, so there is work being done at IPAO now, though, for a project?
No, nobody, they told us from the SIPO, the Historic Preservation, do not touch IPAO. They're going to just leave it alone. Nobody can even dig anything because the bones are still there. Not too deep either. So we cannot touch IPAO anymore.
So everything is on hold at IPAO now?
Everything is stopped.
Yeah.
No more IPAO ever, because that's what the orders we got from the Historic Preservation people that you cannot get any kind of a permit there.
Okay.
Yeah, basically the strategic goals that we've laid out for IPAO is being reconfigured now into this one village, one attraction thing. So the same basic principles, but executed in a prolific way by the different villages instead of just one location.
Sure, and that project will be able to be fulfilled with all of the ARP timelines that are set?
We believe so.
Okay, very good.
We're not even using ARP for the Guam signs. We're using that on our own. But every little bit that we have, we're doing one from Asan and Maina. I said, where are you going to put Maina? He said, maybe Fonti. I said, I want some place where they take a picture, man, not into the bamboo, But we wanted, how many people actually take pictures, like you said, Senator Tello. They take a photo and it's all over the world. I love I Magaʹhågan Guåhan, Malesso, Magaʹhågan. It works. It works. Even out here. They even see the legislation in the background.
Okay. I know we had a little bit of discussion You sound very excited about all your LTAs coming in and
Yes.
being able to do this work immediately. And I know that that has been your brainchild. You brought that on so that you could get people to work immediately in past situations and disasters for the island. And it has worked for us, I think, to hire immediately and to be able to put these people where they're needed. And so that sounds like quite a few, though, that you're going to be bringing
Yes.
on. So I want to know what's the plan for sustainability. We have a hiring process in the government of Guam, and I want to know, we have these LTAs, how long are they going to be here? What is your plan to keep them as permanent employees, to make them official workers of the government of Guam?
Well, first of all, let me say that I've had iterations of LTAs. Some of them stole all our gas when they come there, so we watch them, you know. I mean, you just, you know, so I go through the people, and right now we have 4. That's the most dependable, and they're doing an excellent job. I'm trying to hire more, but they can come in, and I'm telling you, like, I think Senator Brown, you brought this up, something changed in the mindset of people. They don't want to work. They want to steal. Really, so, you know, it's not, when I look around, I look for people that are trustworthy. First, I look, if it's LTA, like yesterday, a guy said, I want to work here. So I went and did a background check on him. Okay, I'm going to test you out next week. But that's the kind of way. We're not going advertising for LTAs because I don't know what I'm going to get. I want to know that person, you know, his background, who his mother is, his father, everybody.
Okay, because we also don't want to circumvent the very competitive hiring process that we have in the government of Guam to make sure that we don't have these issues like individuals stealing or not wanting to show up to work. We want to get the best employees possible.
Exactly, and that's why I've fired 8 already because they were running away with the gas.
Okay, so please keep an eye on them.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so in the staffing pattern, there's also some unclassified and vacant positions that are to receive special pay. So this is ranging from our everyday office handyman to even yourselves as the deputy and the general manager. So what is this special pay that we're talking about for certain workers, this classification?
I don't understand you.
Okay, so in the staffing pattern, there's a category that lists it as special pay. So there's something ranging from $1,000 for an office handyman to $5,000 and $6,000 for our upper management. So I'm wondering, why are these specific categories listed in our staffing pattern?
Your staffing pattern?
Your staffing.
Maybe it's
Yours.
been there longer.
This is your budget, sir.
Maybe it was the old, I don't know. Where are you looking at?
Staffing pattern. I don't have it in front of me,
Maybe
but
that's been
when I
there
was reviewing it.
Decades ago, maybe. I don't know.
We'll get back to you on that because that might have something to do with the compensation, new compensation package that we
Okay,
have.
so yes, it's good to know if that's a part of the pay plan, if that could be noted as well, not just a special pay, because I want the public to understand as well what's special, what's going on that you guys
Yes, because,
have this.
yeah, because we've departed basically from the Gov Guam pay plan. We've basically commissioned our own where we are compared with our peer groups, the rest of the country. And when we first got the results back, we were facing like, the GVB employees were like in the lower 5 percentile of their peer groups. And so we're trying to migrate up to at least 50 percentile so that at least we can say that our employees are equal to 50% of their similar positions for the industry in the country.
Okay.
But we'll get back specifically, Ron.
Yes, please. I would appreciate that. We also have something called the Cultural and Sports Ambassador Fund, and I know that we weren't able to fund this in the previous budget, but in the most recent audit, the 2021 audit, I know we're waiting for the new audit to come out in a few days, but it said the fund maintained a balance of over $100,000, $168,000. So any of these funds expended in this last fiscal year? Was anyone applying for the Culture and Sports Ambassador Program? Because we have many groups that come to us, nonprofit groups, sports groups that are asking for money, soliciting to us, and we're not able to give it directly, but we know that GVB is able to, and hopefully in this new budget we'll be able to assist more groups. But what is the status?
So the current status of the fund is 37,000. At the beginning of the year, it was around 125, but with all the grants or all the applicants received, as of date, it's 37,000.
Okay, so we are exhausting those funds. Very good. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think I want to commend GVB as well for the work that we've done in response to the typhoon and to COVID, for working together with our tourism industry to ensure that we're helping the best way that we can, and rolling up your sleeves and getting to work immediately after the storm. Thank you very much for all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you, Senator Shelton. GVB, do you have any closing statement? If not, we're going to go ahead and close the budget hearing.
Just one final appeal, please. Give us what we want this time.
We're going to try. We're going to try, Governor.
Thank you, Senator.
There being no one else to present, to make any testimony on the budget hearing on the Guam Visitors Bureau, I want to thank everyone for attending this hearing and for providing feedback and suggestions. Guam Visitors Bureau budget hearing is now adjourned. The time now is 10:43. Please be safe and Biba GVB. Thank you.